Even if it looks like noble, you're fighting against something. It is a fragmented part of self. You must integrate and make whole. What you see, where you see the problem, where you see a person, place, situation is being heartless, unfair, deviant, any of these things. The trick is this. You must have empathy for the being's pain. Even if you absolutely fear the being, detest the being, don't want anything to do with the being. You want to run from the being. They are so ugly. What you must do is you must feel in your heart that the being is only doing these things because they are mixed up and they are in pain. They have been hurt, and so they want to hurt others. And you must go in your imagination, in your dreams, and you must somehow blend and merge with the being and hold the being in your arms like a mother, like a father, and rock them and let them know it is all right and bring them back to love. This is part of the Atlantean healing, just what you would do with a child. Do you understand this? When you do inner work and you come up with inner conflict, this is what any therapist or anyone would look for. We look for it, others look for it, to bring the resolution, that you stop resisting and you start realizing that what you are fighting against is struggling itself. And someone has to be the bigger one. Someone has to rise above to see, to lift up a little bit and to have a higher consciousness. And once you do, you will not be threatened by it. You will see that you can solve it because it is a being in pain. It can be a country in pain. It can be a world in pain. This is big healing work. And obviously, in some ways you are still fighting the war. You are still fighting the war. Who else has a question, please?
Ed,
who is it?
Ed.
Ed, yes.
That works the same way going forward, does it not?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So then, you can call upon yourself in the pain that you may have going forward, and the solution is the same that you just described. Hold in compassion and love and recognize.
Yes, because holding compassion and love is a very big state of being. And most of you are too busy or too impatient unless this is a major crisis. But this is the way that spiritual beings evolve. And let's say that you're not necessarily in that state into perpetuity, but you know how to recognize a being, whether yourself or something else, in pain, in separation. And so you have to stop the resistance and not expect something to change itself. You be the agent of change. And that agent that you are, its immunity, its power, its shield, its whole entity is the power that you have not to be afraid of something, but to realize what you may be afraid of or resisting is like a wounded child. And so you have to be the super adult. And you have to, and once you open this and you realize that what you've been afraid of is even more frightened than you are. And then you realize it is a lost being. But this can be very tricky stuff. You know, Ed.
Yes.
You've played these games, yes.
Yes.
Yes. What else, Ed?
Jim.
Jim.
I was down in Gettysburg and I walked alone through the graveyard and came to a stone with a name of a person on it, and I read the name and burst out into tears. And what should I do about that, or what did it mean?
It means that you know the person, and that you were contemporary of that person, and they died there. And it looks to us that you died there as well. So basically you went back to walk on your grave. It is not uncommon, Jim.
There is a birthmark on my left shoulder. Is that associated with that particular experience?
Often when you have a mark on the body that you are born with, it is a carryover from other lifetimes. So definitely that mark could be, we are not saying for certain, we'd have to probe deeper here, but it definitely would be a reminder. Often when there is a quick traumatic death, particularly in war or some kind of accident or something, often the individual does not even realize they are dead, especially when many people die at the same time. And Gettysburg was a horrible, horrible massacre. And you were drawn back there. Just as Vietnam vets or war veterans, often they go back to the zone where the trauma was, and they see it, daisies and flowers, and they can't imagine. They still hear the screaming and the yelling and the blood and the feces and the smell and the horror of it all, and young men calling for their mothers, because that is what they call for in war, their mothers. They have throughout history. And so the person that you see there, whose tombstone that you saw, it looks to us as if this was a colleague, a comrade of yours. And that it's just brought all this memory up in you. And this is a good thing. This is a good thing. It is a healthy thing. We said earlier that many of you will go to countries or places that you also visit gravestones. You often always walk over your own gravestone if you go to visit certain places. So think on it more. Do you recall the name that was on the gravestone?
I wish I did. I didn't have the foresight to write it down.
That's all right, because you do remember the location and the shape and the moment, yes? That's fine then. Go back to that moment when you went to revisit and picture in your mind that you are going to sit down there and that you are going to lean up against the gravestone, and that and just picture yourself sitting there comforting your colleague. And your colleague may have called you back there, because your colleague may be wandering. Not wandering, wandering. As many warriors wander. And you know how from the Civil War in the United States you have all these recreations? Who do you think is doing the recreations? All of the men who didn't get, and women also, who didn't resolve the trauma. So they keep recreating it and recreating it. It looks as if they are just teaching history, but they have not ended the trauma. The way to end this trauma, same with Randy, what you want to know and deliver to yourself and to your colleague. When you picture yourself lying on that, sitting there, you can have a sandwich, a book with you. But you're leaning against that grave marker, and you are going to talk to your friend down there, and you're going to say, "Hey, I'm back. You know, we live again and again. And I'm here, and you are dead." In the 1800s, from Gettysburg battle. And often the problem with the wanderers is they don't know that they are dead. And so this is part of a soul healing for you. And you can do many of these healings in your mind and in your imagination. And in the dream state as well. And if you don't remember your buddy's name, then think of a name that you would like your buddy to be named. Do you understand this?
Yes, that's very helpful.
And you can just have a name, even if you call him Bud.
Right.
Yes. And that's part of your healing to help him, because it looks to us that you have made more progress than he has.
Okay.
All right? And you know how it is in war. You have buddies. And you cover each other. And so when one buddy goes down, it's pretty traumatic. That is why the motto of the Marines, we leave no one behind. It's very, very bad to be left in battle. But many, 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 many young men lost their lives in that particular battle, and it was horrific. Not that any battle is not horrific. And if you've been in one battle, you've been in many. And many of you have been in male and female bodies, and you've been warriors yourselves. And so if this issue comes up, you must lay down your arms and open your heart. That's the solution. Fighting doesn't do it. That's why people will say, get your guns, line up with guns. You don't need guns. You get guns, guess what? You're going to attract the energy that wants to match you if you have a gun. Don't think a gun is going to protect you. You want protection. You call it down and put it out like that. Understand? You put up a shield like this. You shift the probabilities. You ask for some guidance to protect you. But do not get involved in these engagements of battles, because you will only end up continuing in other lifetimes again, battling and battling, and this lifetime is about resolution and healing. Healing along the lines of time. So, speaking of time, our time has come to an end for this particular slice of time. There's no end to time, so there's really no end. And so these sessions will continue on and on this afternoon as you go about your own way. And but for now, we will call it a close, and we will remind you again that you are powerful beings. You admitted it, you claimed it, you want it, so now you must live with it. Your solution is to strengthen yourself, to demonstrate that you can activate your own biological technology, that your body is far superior to any machines that you will build, and that you really know that you are here for a purpose, that you are guided, and that the power of your mind, your intention, the heart, love, that these are the keys. We will remind you, as our vehicle said, that it is most important to have a good time, to make this a good life, to make this the best life, to make this the better than best life, to live with excellence. Because when you look back, you are going to want to say, wow, I did it, and I did it in style. So this is your homework. Live the best possible life that you can. Expect it. Expectations of excellence. That is our work that we assign to you for the rest of your life. Good afternoon. May you thrive on all the best highways and byways of existence. Pleasant journeys. Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Voila.
Thank you.